Medicine Hat, my home, my heart. Sunshine City where dreams all start. Gas City grit in every part. Medicine Hat, my home, my heart.
This is a politically centered podcast.
Yusuf Mohammed, welcome to the Politically Centered Podcast.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, Yusuf, I know very, very little about you. We spoke briefly during our, initial meeting over Messenger when we chatted.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of information on you, but other than that, I know absolutely nothing about you. So this is your opportunity, just like all the other candidates, to get everybody as well as myself to get to know you personally. So please
Yeah.
go ahead and tell us who you are.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for doing this, by the way. I know it takes a lot for you to broadcast this and connect with all of us. So I really appreciate the effort.
Thank you.
I moved to Medicine Hat about 20 years ago. I was born and raised in northern Nigeria. And I lived in Nigeria for close to half of my life. And then I left Nigeria in 2001. While I was in Nigeria, I attended high school there. I did college there. I studied computer science in my early years. That was when computer science was the big thing and programming was coming in. And, we were, one of those people that did Excel.
That's when we used the term nerd before they were all rich.
Oh, is that?
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
there you go. So kind of funny. You look at Excel today and where AI is gone.
We used to make fun of nerds. Now they're all billionaires, and we don't make fun of them anymore.
I wish I had continued in that direction.
Yes,
because we were, using Lotus 1, 2, 3 for Excel and all of that.
Oh my God!
But, yeah, I know. Some people will remember that. Some people would think I'm talking in codes right now, but no, it's really, I was passionate about it. I like latching on to new things. So anyway, that was kind of my time in Nigeria. And then I left Nigeria. I lived in South Africa for some time. From South Africa, I moved to Europe. I was attending a university, as a Christian university, actually, I was in South Africa and then in Switzerland, and I traveled to different parts of the world. But when I was in Switzerland, something amazing happened. I met this beautiful Alberta girl. There. And so, that was kind of really the pivotal point, if you could call it, of my life, where she wanted to come back to Canada to go to school. I thought, I love Europe. I wanted to stay there for the rest of my life, just like many people who.
It's funny how that works. And I want to go to Switzerland. I don't know what you're.
Oh, well, let's talk. I got some connection. I used to call it my second home. And I lived there for 5 years. Then after living in Canada for 20 years, I can't call it anymore, but I love Medicine Hat. So anyway, moved to Medicine Hat. My wife actually was born in Vancouver. They lived in Edmonton because her dad was working for the RCMP. He managed the forensic lab there. So they moved around quite a bit, Nova Scotia. But anyway, grew up most of our life in Edmonton. And she was looking to come back to school in Canada when we met in Switzerland. And at that time, this is amazing. I kind of find it right now, actually. At that time, we were looking at schools, and Medicine Hat had a better nursing program than U of A.
Oh, wow.
I know. I always tell people, they're like, well, so we end up in Medicine Hat because, you know what, she was able to go there and I was able to, because of the nursing program, and I was able to find school. So we moved to Medicine Hat around 2005. And when I moved to Medicine Hat, some of my early stage of working is in construction, and my wife was going to school, and I started attending Medicine Hat College, taking courses here and there. I liked learning. And while I was attending Medicine Hat College, I realized that there is a huge opportunity to connect newcomers to Canada to the community. So, and I noticed that on campus. So I started talking to some students because, again, I came from a background of being an international student. So everywhere I go, when I see international students, when I see newcomers, I kind of navigate towards them because we have the same, challenges. If you travel around the world, you probably kind of, realize that when you see someone that looks like you or a Canadian somewhere that they have some kind of Canada, what do you call it? Flag or a badge, you kind of go and talk to them,
It's
right?
true. I spent for over 4 years growing up in a foreign country in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And I remember, if I was walking around and I saw a Canadian flag, it was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? I
That's
get
me.
it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that's exactly me. So, whenever I see someone, and I've traveled quite a bit. So I've been to about 4 continents. So whenever I see someone, whether they're, from Asia or the Middle East, or I just, I have that feeling of like, hey, you're new to Canada, or you know what I mean? I have started a
Yeah.
conversation with them. And so that really starts to become something that I was really passionate about, just connecting with people. And I find it fascinating to do that. So back in around 2006, my wife and I noticed that there's a huge gap in Medicine Hat in connecting community. So we started an organization called Intercultural Association of Medicine Hat.
You
And
started that. I've heard
yeah,
of that. I didn't know
yeah, you've heard
that.
of that. Okay.
Ooh,
So it
okay.
started in my 750 square foot condo, with my wife, just like what you're doing with your podcast right now.
Long-term goals. Long-term goals. Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great things
You're
start in the
inspiring
living
me.
room. Great things start in the living room,
You're
Jeremy.
not
Okay.
supposed to know I'm in my living room. I'm gonna edit this out. No, I'm
Oh, okay.
kidding.
Well,
I'm
okay.
kidding. No, I'm just joking. Keep
All right, sorry. Yeah.
going.
But so anyway, no, and I'm telling you, I hope this is kind of give you an idea of part of my story, because I think people don't get often the opportunity to hear this.
Yeah.
So I started in our living room, and we connected with a few international students who come into this community to study, to gain experience. Some of them with the intention to stay here, some of them with the intention to go back to their countries. And so we connected with them and started hearing their stories. And then we found out that there is a huge number of students that are out there that are craving to connect with community. So my wife and I thought, well, what do we do to create meaningful integration with newcomers to our community? So we started the connection, and we invited some of our friends to our house the next gathering, and we were cooking, eating together, doing different things. And then the next time there was like 15 people that showed up. We're like, oh wow, 15 people. Now remember, 750 square foot condo, right? So the living room is this tiny. And so we met with this 15 people, and then later we realized, man, there's more out there. So we're like, well, let's go to Kinkuli. Okay, next gathering, Jeremy, there were 60 people, right? And then within 6 months, we grew to over 100 people. That's how we formed an organization, because we're like, okay, this is more than just a living room experience.
That's an incredible story. It really is. That's wow. It's inspiring. I mean, I remember, spending several years as a child in another country,
Yeah.
and then spending most of my teenage years and my early adult life in Winnipeg, which is very multicultural.
Mm.
I have said this before, that when I moved here, I thought I moved to the whitest place on earth. And
Huh.
I really did. It was like culture shock for me. It just sounds so weird coming from somebody as pale as me. All right. But I got here and I'm like, so this is where all the white people on earth come from. Now I know. All right. We
Oh,
know the mosquitoes all come from Winnipeg and all the white people
uh,
come from Medicine
oh my gosh.
Hat.
Okay. You're hilarious. Now I got to tell a story. I hope my wife is going to forgive me. So my wife, I've taken my wife all over Nigeria, right? And Nigeria is the most populous Black nation on earth. Well, 1 out of 5
Interesting.
Africans are Nigerians.
And what are the languages you speak in Nigeria?
Oh
I'm
my goodness.
curious.
Oh, well, we have over about 300, probably maybe even more. Actually, some stats are even saying 500 dialects.
Oh,
There are three
wow.
major languages in Nigeria. So Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, and those are the trade languages. But anyway, I can go giving you history lessons, but I'm
No,
sure
it's okay. We
more
don't have time
interested
for
in what
that.
I do in medicine.
Back to your wife. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was
But
going to be a simple answer,
exactly, no,
African
I can download
history
a
here.
textbook on you, but
Yeah.
but so anyway, I wanted to tell you the story though, with that story that you talked about. So my wife and I were in Nigeria, right? And where we go, she would be the only white person, you know what I mean, that you would see in the entire village or the entire community. And so that visibility was huge for her. So she's got a story to tell. Maybe one day you need to interview her. Don't tell her that I said you need to.
Well,
But
hey, I'm more than happy to have another interview with you on a one-to-one and outside of your campaign interview and get to know you a little bit better. I think that getting, you by definition, I guess, would be an ethnic part of our community. And I think it's really important for people to get to know that ethnic part of our community because really, after it's all said and done, you're not
mm,
any different. It's just, you've been in Canada 20 years
mm.
and talking to you is fascinating hearing all of your history.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So no, and I think that definitely, yes, I do represent that. I represent, a lot of voices that are in our community, a lot of and that's one of the things, Jeremy, that I'm actually really passionate about. The last 20 years of Medicine Hat, I spent my time in different disciplines, from the non-for-profit to government to business. And I see the opportunity in building a cohesive community and a vibrant community moving towards that. Whether it's we're looking at economic development, whether we're looking at community vibrancy, I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunity. And one of the reasons why I was telling you some of that grassroots story of my journey in Medicine Hat is that's one of the reasons really why I chose to run today. I chose to run today because I spent the last 20 years of my life in Medicine Hat seen a community in need, just like the story that I told you, of starting the connection differently from our living room. And the story of what we have done is not necessarily my story or my wife's story. Actually, what really is, just like somebody says, if a movement starts, who started the movement? And I don't remember a few years ago if you see there's a video, floating on YouTube whereby a guy came on the beach and they were dancing. And then later another guy joined. And I remember being in university class, a professor said, who started the movement? It was the second person that joined the movement,
I've
not the
seen
first person that
psychology
started the
videos
movement.
like that many times. I
Yes.
understand. Yes.
So, and this is a story that I think I want Medicine Hat to understand. And I think for us, some of the things that we've been able to see and do is it comes with community support. I realize that this community is actually amazing when it comes to collaboration, at least to my experience. Because we when we started what we were doing, the amount of people that joined in community to help build it was what made it successful. And although people can say, "Oh, Medicine Hat is," I've heard words like, redneck community, all of that kind of thing. People say all that kind of stuff. There might be people out there that are doing certain things that are, given a different
I,
impact.
I I call us a redneck community.
Do you? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well,
But I mean, but redneck's a compliment to a certain
okay.
extent for some people. That's the thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, we are definitely the definition of a redneck community in many cases. It doesn't have to be an insult, right?
Yeah, it's not an insult, and I
Yeah.
again, people can take it negative or positive.
Yeah.
Like you said, and that's one of the things that I actually love about our community. We have a lot of people. If they say they're gonna do stuff, they will do it, and we can get things done. And that's been my experience. I've had the opportunity to work with different people in this community. People have told me, oh, this group is difficult or this to navigate. And you know what? We had the opportunity to go in there and work with people and connect with them and negotiate where we need to negotiate. So anyway, from a community building capacity, for me, it's been amazing. It's been positive. I can point out a lot of things from the cultural community side. I've worked with different stakeholders, from businesses to city to, so I'm one of those people absolutely that have a positive view of community. And just like I told you, when we saw that gap in connectedness, we jump in and we try to fill in the gap. That's actually my disposition to community building. And everybody that knows me can tell you that. I go, okay, what are the obstacles and what would it take to remove the obstacles so that we can move forward? And that's, because again, we need to build community. I mean, there's negative sides to different things, but how do we move forward is the question that I really want to ask as we move. Yeah. So anyway, you
Yusuf,
direct me when you need to. I can move.
no, you know what? I'm just gonna mute my mic and let you talk. I'm enjoying this interview. You're easy, man. I'll tell you. You keep doing this. I haven't endorsed anybody, but wow, I'm very impressed with your communication skills.
Thank you.
There's things I like and dislike about all the candidates, but your ability to communicate, what I'm hearing is 4 years of no communication and fighting on city council coming to an end. Seriously, that's what I'm hearing, okay? And there's a few candidates that I've interviewed that are very much like you, but
Yeah.
people who are easy to talk to, people who are real, and I think, when people dislike politicians,
Yeah.
it's not that they I know the fly, I can see the fly.
Yeah, I
It's
know. It's like I have
well,
my window
if I
open.
if I could buzz it through my keyboard, I would. But
That's
what
okay.
people don't like about politicians is that they're disingenuous, and there is nothing disingenuous or fake about you. Absolutely nothing. Everything you're saying is very true from the heart, and I want to compliment you on that. This is
Well,
turning into
thank
one
you.
of my favorite interviews so far.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You complimented me before the interview is over. No pressure.
Well, that's okay. I'm leaving this in there too.
Yeah.
Most of my interviews are unedited for a reason. So, the only time I edit out is when my idiot dog starts barking at somebody mowing their lawn in the background here, I mean.
Yeah, well, that's why, yeah. Good thing we're doing it right here during work hours. So everybody's kind of gone. So yeah, no, I appreciate the compliment, Jeremy. I think that that's kind of really one of my passion is, and I wrote it on my blog on my website, part of the things that I want to see resolved is really restoring trust in leadership. And for me, when I say that I want to restore trust in leadership, I really mean about bringing community together. You know what I mean? Is bringing community together in the sense of bringing leaders in our community together, whether it's the non-for-profit, private and public sector community, to see how can we look at moving forward together as a community when it comes to the things that matter to the people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
You and I should have a discussion after the interview about some sort of multicultural event.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up with anything multicultural. You got me on it because it's all about bringing everyone together.
It's a very subtle way to swat the fly. Keep going.
Yes, it is. No, I'm gonna keep on. I don't know. Maybe I might get a fly swatter here.
I have an electric swatter here. They smell like burnt toast after a
But
while.
I feel like I can virtually, like if I can borrow it virtually and just kind of zap.
Yeah, that's right.
But
So
anyway.
I got a question though about everything that you said, although there's a lot to dissect there and we don't have time.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned you went to a Christian university.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I did ask you about that initially,
Yeah.
not to bring up religion, because I'm not really
No,
a big guy
religion is
about
important.
discussing religion.
Yeah.
Well, religion is important for some. It's really not a deal breaker, no matter
Yeah.
what people's
Absolutely.
religion is for me either
Yeah.
way. But
Mhm.
you mentioned Christian university, and I was fascinated because typically your name is associated with the Prophet Muhammad from the Quran,
Yes.
which is a Muslim last name.
Yes.
And your name itself, it's not Yosef, it's Yusuf,
Yes.
right? Because there's a
Mhm.
U there. It's
Mhm.
Yusuf.
Yes.
And there was some anomalies there in how your name was pronounced and said. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So absolutely, it depends on where you are, right? People pronounce Yusuf Mohammed differently. In northern Nigeria, they call me Yusuf. That's
Yusuf.
kind of, yeah. I have a few friends that can say that, but it doesn't matter to me. My favorite is a German kid when I was in Germany trying to pronounce my name. He called me Fuzu, right? So and I mean I got Jose, I've got, you know what I mean? And obviously Mohammed, people have different ways of spelling it.
I've been called Yarami a couple of times. There's no
Okay.
J in some dialects, right? Yarami?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, no, I get that, and I think that sometimes the misconception is definitely people looking at my name as religion. They look at it and they think different, like he's Muslim, or you know what I mean. And I'm not saying, and I want to talk about that because I think that's really important, Jeremy, for people to understand my background when it comes to that, right? My grandfather came from the Muslim community, and we have um we have about 99% of the people, well, maybe as a high percentage, but a huge majority of the people in
It was
my
an estimation. I understand.
are Muslims. And one of the things that I appreciate about that is I grew up learning to appreciate diversity of religion and diversity of culture. That's something that I would say is embedded in me because I have family that are on both sides. I have family that are Christians, I have family that are Muslims, and we've learned to live respectively. If you Google the region that I'm from in Nigeria, there's some challenges that when it comes to that. But one of the things that I would say that my parents did an incredible job is in really raising us to respect other people, to have that open-mindedness, that curiosity, to be able to set aside our differences when we have a task to do, when we have, you know what I mean? Like anything that we need to do, to really not allow that to be the the forefront of how you treat other people or how you respect them. So that's something that I would say that my background has helped me to be able to appreciate.
Kindness, generosity, compassion are not a nationality or a religion.
There you go. Yes. No,
Yes.
I thank you for summarizing that. And I've seen that as I travel around the world. I've been to Asia, I've been to temples, I was in Tibet, I played ping pong with monks. Like there's just so many different things that traveling the world has actually exposed me to
There
really.
are some people here who think well cultured means going to Calgary, you know.
Hey, look at, okay,
You
you're
are
kind
well
of getting
cultured,
me.
my friend.
No, you know what? And that's so when I moved here a few years ago, I've done some international trips here. I don't know, maybe 18 years ago, we took 40 skateboarders to Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
Some have never left this country. So if you think about it, um, you know, so some people that have never left Alberta, some people that have, you know what I mean? It was amazing. And I've learned a lot during that trip. Like even those that you think have never traveled, when they have that open-mindedness, Jeremy, and curiosity, it's amazing what they can do. And this kids did incredible. This is a shout out to the Medicine Hat Skateboard Association, by the way, because I coordinated it with their leaders and we did that and we executed it perfectly. I love those kids. Um, yeah, yeah. So anyway, I think anyway, you made a comment about some people have never left to Calgary, but I just have some positive spin to that.
No, it's great. Like I said, this I mean I'm only the only thing that's disappointing me is we're coming to the end of our interview. I could talk to you for hours, but I the problem is that, you know, if you look at the algorithms, when you go over about 45 minutes, people must start snoring because they start going down.
Oh
But
yeah,
and this has been an absolutely amazing interview. I'm sure the comments will reflect that
yeah. Do
when I
we have
post
2 minutes
this.
to talk about anything else?
Absolutely. You know what? Start talking about your campaign. You have about
Okay.
5 minutes left, and
Okay.
please go ahead. I won't
Perfect.
say a thing.
No, absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad that we, got to know me a little bit there. I think one of the things that the area that I've spent working on in the last, let's say, 5 years is in the area of workforce development, especially in our region. The challenges that we're seeing right now is, and I think for me is in this campaign is how do we promote economic growth, but also economic development. And I see the importance of definitely workforce development because the last few years I spend my time really working with recruiting and placing talent into the workforce. There are some talents that we're lacking in this region, and I've used some of that opportunity and that skills that I've learned, whether it's locally or around the world, to help companies to be able to hire. A few years ago, I was contracted with deploying a provincial program that has to do with mentoring for skilled newcomers, and that included scanning the environment, scanning the region, and seeing how do we take the talents that are in this region, create mentoring program for them, and put them into the industry. And that was very successful. We started this program as a volunteer opportunity. for companies to sign up and do, or individuals to sign up and do. And we end up with about a 95% or more even success rate of people who mentored end up hiring their mentees. So it showed us the gap that we have in our community of people who are underemployed. And I think that that's a huge opportunity for this community. Especially, we started seeing people who would move to this region wanting to have meaningful employment, but they end up moving out of Medicine Hat because, you know what, there's no meaningful employment here. But where we find the gaps were in actually the opportunity for mentorship and for community people to say, hey, we're willing to take on something that that would help us to actually, you know, upskill people and put them into relevant employment. So I'm really passionate about that kind of program. Recently, I'm working on another program, and I've done some of that with employer training in some of my consulting work when it has to, how do we help people, organizations to create cohesive workplaces?
I
Because
think you
when you
may
have,
have, sorry to interrupt you, you may have just also hit the nail on the head on one of the problems why all our youth leave Medicine Hat.
exactly.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and that's really important. That's what we're finding. So actually, I was part of our conversations a few years ago when we were doing the research around the area and seeing how can we retain people, right? How can we retain people in this community? And some of the conversations that we had with youth is we don't have a lot of mid-level management jobs in our community. So think about it. You start working for as an entry-level position, that next level up whereby you can actually scale up in your career development, we're losing people within that range. So that mid-level management jobs that people
Where
can.
where can all of our viewers find all this information? Is it posted online somewhere? Can I link to it?
I'd have to think when we developed the program,
Mhm.
well, this was from a conversation on research like that when we were having like what do you call it, focus groups, right? I'm just singular conversations that came
If
from.
you have this
But if you,
documented anywhere, I'd love to be
yeah,
able to
if you
publish it
like,
for you.
you look at the like Alberta the labor force projection from now to 2030. There's some data in there that would show you you know, the cumulative imbalance of that we're facing within Alberta and the need to recruit more workforce and what we will be at in the next you know, 15, 20 years. So you would be able to see that. And yeah, anyway, but that's quite a bit of data. I can probably send you some links when it comes to some of the projections and maybe some of the things that we did a lot of some qualitative research asking people to around the community just to find out, you know, where the gaps are, where the challenges are. So I'm singling out some of the comments that came from why would you want to leave town? And also I want to let you know, like some of even our work with the skilled newcomers that are coming into community, personally, I can count, man, 30 or so young people who came here, lived here for 1 or 2 years. We lost them to other communities,
Yeah.
you know.
Especially Lethbridge seems to be a huge draw for young people, and they're not that much bigger than us.
Yeah. I've also transitioned quite a few, whether it's Ukrainians that moved here into industry. Some of the sad ones that I would say, I remember there's a guy, he's a master electrician, very smart guy, did a lot of different things and tried so hard to get into industry. Medicine Hat didn't work out. Went to Calgary on a Saturday, did an interview. Everyone in Medicine Hat was offering him, you know, low wage, do certain things. $60 an hour, somebody grabbed it because of
Wow.
his skill, right? And so here is the catch, Jeremy, for me. And in doing this, a lot of this workforce development work with different businesses in our community, but also working with different talents, where I see that the challenge is some of these people are highly skilled, but we're not what do you call it, capturing those hidden talents that are there. And so they go to communities whereby people are willing to take the time, connect with them, interview them, hire them, and they keep them. And some of the companies that were able to hire here locally, they love their employees. They have kept them for a very long time. So one of the things that we're trying to do is to become that bridge for employers. How do we provide the relevant training that would help people to source the right talent? And so these are some of the things that we've been looking at and we've been really working on.
Wow. I'm so beyond impressed, actually. I really am. This is just yeah, I all I have to say is wow. And there's very few times where I don't know what to say, but I'm very impressed. Yeah, I'm actually speechless. You present yourself extraordinarily well, and I sincerely hope you do well during the election. I won't endorse anybody through the podcast, but
Absolutely.
privately, absolutely, I will tell people who I will be voting for privately and who my favorites are. And again, I've thoroughly enjoyed my interview with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank
The only
you.
thing I'm sad about is that I have to let you go. But you have a meeting to get to, and you have a family to look after. You have children as well, I believe you said.
Yes.
So you're a father, and those things take priority. So thank you so much, Yusuf Mohammed, for coming on the Politically Centered podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Have a good one. Bye.
Support for today's episode comes from The Phone Whisperer, Medicine Hat's best kept secret since 2010. Serving Medicine Hat and area for over 15 years. Created by the mind behind iFix phones. Need a fix? Call 403-488-1220. The Phone Whisperer. Welcome home, Hatters.
This is a politically centered podcast.